Great. So here we're going to take a look at some of the political forces that unite and divide the European Union. All right. So first off, we'll take a look at the ones that unite, bringing people together. The first one is working together. So when we work with other people, that obviously helps us move faster, think differently, and sometimes work a little bit better. So by working together towards shared common goals, that is obviously going to bring these countries together. So remember that the European Union is a supranational level of government. What this again means is that people are giving up some independent rights and responsibilities in order to work together. So it's kind of like working in a group here at school. You can't always get everything your way the way that you want it. You have to work together. So the European Union does work very similarly to that, and it operates above the governments of its members. You still have your normal government within your own country, but the EU is also there operating above that level. Some of the major issues in Europe, I know we tackled that the other day, really are mainly environmental and social, pollution being the big one, the refugee crisis, terrorist issues. By working together and having a lot of countries collaborate, it's going to help solve the problems maybe a little bit quicker and be a little smarter about some of the solutions that are proposed. Also, by working together and having more people in collaboration together, it's going to create this united voice in global affairs, and it's going to make the world maybe listen a little bit more. Whereas, if Spain is out there expressing concern, they may not get a lot of attention. But if you say, all of Europe is doing this, that might get a little bit more attention when it comes to issues that are happening in the world. So working together towards shared and common goals is definitely a huge political force that's going to help unite the European Union. Another political force that's going to unite the people of Europe is the European Union encouraging Europeans to think of themselves as citizens of Europe. So this idea of that you have a European citizenship. So European citizenship would operate on top of the citizenship of your home country. And what this allows you to do is it allows any EU citizen to live and work anywhere in the EU. So again, kind of economically, opening up more job opportunities and more ability to choose what you need to do. Also, EU citizens can vote in EU elections. The European Union is very democratic in the sense that they have a parliament and they also have a council where every country is represented in different forms in different ways. So it gives voice to the citizens and it gives voice to countries in what happens with Europe. EU citizens' rights are protected no matter where they live within the European Union. So even if you move from one country to the next, there are similar bylaws and similar expectations as far as your freedoms, your rights, and your responsibilities as a European citizen. So here is just a little layout showing you how part of the EU representation works. So there's two kind of lawmaking bodies in the EU. There's the EU Council, where there are certain people from each country being represented. And here is what they call Parliament. So what Parliament is it's kind of like a House of Representatives that we have here in the U.S. Each country is delegated a certain amount of Parliament members or representatives, and it is based off of your population. So as you can see, every country that is a part of the EU is represented, and some have different number of representation depending on the amount of people that live within the country. So here is the representation of the Parliament as of 2018. So just like there are forces that bring us together, there certainly are forces that divide politically for the EU. So first one is pretty big. This is definitely a big one. When a country joins the European Union, it is an expectation that you give up some of your independent and individual power so that you can work together with the EU. Okay. So if the EU makes a policy and your country does not like it and your country does not agree with it, you have to carry it out anyway because the EU voted on it, the EU decided it, and therefore your individual ideas or thoughts are actually overridden. This does create a huge problem for countries who want to make their own independent decisions and choices on certain things, especially like defense, foreign affairs, immigration, the refugee crisis. If you're kind of outvoted in Europe, then you will lose. You have to follow the policy that the EU votes and decides upon. If you disagree with something the EU does, you have to follow through with it anyway, because that's what supranational cooperation is all about. You have to give up that individual right and responsibility in order for the betterment of the society and the community. Another huge dividing force for the European Union is the growing size. Okay, Europe is getting bigger, they're adding more members, and that is going to create some issues. So as of 2018, there were 515 million people within 28 different countries that were part of the European Union. And as the size of the EU has increased, so has the differences amongst its countries and cultures. A lot of the cultures might be similar to one another on the West versus the East. So for a while, there weren't a lot of issues with this because most people in the West had similar cultures, ideas, and expectations. There have been a lot of countries added to the EU recently from the eastern part of the continent, and that has created some differences and different perceptions and perspectives are always very good, but it does make cooperation a little bit more difficult. Think about a group project where you're working with 2 or 3 other people versus a group project where there's 28 other people. It's going to be harder to let everybody have a voice and hear everyone and have everyone work together. The biggest political division right now happening with this has been how to handle the refugee crisis, what to do with people that are coming into Europe seeking safety and protection from their government. There are whole different kinds of ideas on what should be done and what shouldn't be. And the third and final force that's dividing the EU politically is this fear that their national identity is going to become lost in this push for a more European citizen identity. So even though you're French, you're also European, and there's been a lot of push recently that your European status is worth more than maybe your French status. So that's obviously going to make some people unhappy. And then one more down here, power, voice, and representation in the EU governing body can actually be unbalanced. So if we go back and we look at how Parliament is represented, this is a good thing because everyone has a voice. It can also be a bad thing because if you look at some of those older, more established Western nations like the UK, France, Spain, Germany, Italy, they have more voice, they have more representation. Where some of those smaller nations, say like Greece has only 21 representatives, Estonia has only 6, Hungary has only 21. So because of the disproportionate representation, which is based off of population, just like how we do in the United States, some of the smaller countries maybe don't feel like their voice is being heard enough. So that's also a drawback and a concern for some division within the EU. So if you haven't already, please pause the video and completely fill out your notes and make sure you get them by me. Thank you.